Animal Crossing Wild World was a nice evolution of the series' formula, but City Folk was a bit of a letdown at the time with how it was so similar to Wild World. After the release of City Folk, fans would have to wait many years for another entry, but the wait was definitely worth it, as the critically acclaimed Animal Crossing New Leaf was released for the Nintendo 3DS in Japan in November 2012, and worldwide in June 2013. I remember being so excited for it to the point where I closely followed coverage of the Japanese release. When it finally released outside of Japan, it quickly became my favorite Animal Crossing at the time. Without further ado, let's take a look at Animal Crossing New Leaf and its free expansion, Welcome Amiibo. Right from the start, things are a bit different in New Leaf. When you arrive in town, you're greeted by Isabelle, the town secretary, and a group of villagers who welcome you as their new mayor. After choosing where to live and participating in a tree planting ceremony, Isabelle can give you a series of tips, such as using tools and writing letters, instead of working part-time for Tom Nook. Another difference is that you start out with a tent instead of an actual house, but you get to choose its exact location this time. Once you get a house and help out enough around town, you get a town development permit, allowing you to do a variety of tasks as the town's mayor. New Leaf retains many of the core features of the previous 3 games, while adding a ton of new features and content. Many of the goals from the previous games return, such as paying off your house debt and unlocking house upgrades, donating to the museum, and maintaining a perfect town. Compared to the earlier games, the initial pacing is much slower. Characters like Kix, Celeste, and Dr. Shunk return, but their services are unlocked by completing other tasks, such as donating a certain amount of items to the museum, spending a certain amount of bells at stores, or simply playing for a certain amount of days. As a result, there isn't as much to do at first, especially in comparison to City Folk, but I like the sense of progression and discovery once a new shop or facility is available. The biggest change is getting to be the mayor of your town. Once you have the town development permit, you can customize your town with public works projects. These range from special locations to decorations around your town. Over time, regular villagers can suggest new public works projects at random, and special facilities become available as you meet certain requirements. For example, Blathers can add a second floor to the museum if you donate enough items, and the Reset Surveillance Center can be built if you reset at least once. Public works projects cost bells, and even though the other villagers help out a little bit, you'll end up having to pay most of the cost. As the mayor, you can also set town ordinances, which impact things like selling prices in shops, and the active hours for your town. There's even an ordinance that makes it easier to achieve a perfect town, with fewer weeds and preventing flowers from wilting. These also cost bells, but can be cancelled for free if you decide to switch to a different one. The layout of the town is also a bit different than in previous games. There's now a main street where most of the stores are located. This sort of acts like a replacement for the city, except it's directly connected to the main town. In a sort of compromise between the past games, the town itself is on a single level, but the beach is on a lower level from the rest of the town. Despite its absence in Wild World and City Folk, the island finally returns in New Leaf. Captain can once again take you by boat to a nearby island, but it's a lot more involved now. In addition to catching bugs or fish and taking them back to your town to sell or donate, you can also participate in island tours. These include different minigames, and doing well in them gives you medals that can be used to unlock special items at the island. You can even buy a diving suit that can be used to find deep-sea creatures for the museum. Another returning feature is the franchise's many approaches to multiplayer, all of which are still available at the time of this review. Like Wild World, there's local and online multiplayer, and both support up to 4 players at a time. The voice chat feature from City Folk is absent, so you have to rely on text chat and Dr. Shunk's emotes to communicate, assuming you don't have an external service like Discord. In addition to spending time in your or another player's town, it's also possible to visit the island in multiplayer and even play the island tour minigames together. Like before, up to 4 people can live in one town, but I can't recommend it as much, since only the first player gets to be the mayor, which is definitely a subtle way to encourage having multiple copies instead of sharing one. There's even a Street Pass hub, where the houses of people use Street Pass can be viewed. The presentation has also been changed considerably. Even beyond the 3D support, the graphics are noticeably different compared to the previous games. The art style is true to the series while also being an upgrade in general. Your character and certain types of animals have different proportions, allowing more detail and customization. The graphics are really nice, and the overall look of the world feels like a step up from even City Folk, despite the frame rate being 30 frames per second instead of 60, and the low resolution of the 3DS's screen. While some tracks return, such as the museum theme, a lot of the music is brand new and includes some of my favorite tracks in the series. The improved character designs result in a greater level of control over your character's appearance. The clothing system has been completely overhauled to include long-sleeve shirts, tank tops, shoes, socks, pants, skirts, and dresses. There's also no gender restrictions on any of these items. Pro designs return from City Folk, allowing you to choose different types of clothes to make and customizing the individual parts of them. And you can share these designs via QR codes to other copies of New Leaf and New Horizons. These are just a few of the major changes in New Leaf compared to the past games, but there's a ton of content. For example, you can customize furniture once you unlock the necessary character in retail. There's a fortune cookie system where you can unlock special items by using the 3DS's play coins from walking around with your 3DS in sleep mode. There's even a special location called the Dream Suite that lets you visit other towns in a dream as long as you have that town's dream address. Compared to past Animal Crossing games, there's a ton of content in New Leaf, and that's just counting the base game. In November 2016, a free update was released called Animal Crossing New Leaf Welcome Amiibo. This adds a new campground where you can invite villagers using Amiibo cards or figures. There's also a new type of currency called Meow Coupons that can be unlocked by completing daily and weekly tasks, and can be used to buy special items from campground visitors. Some of these exclusive items include special furniture and decorations, and even a new Nintendo 3DS or Wii U. The new 3DS unlocks an Animal Crossing themed version of Panel Dipon, better known in the West as Tetris Attack or Puzzle League. The Wii U lets you play a version of Desert Island Escape from Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. You can even scan Zelda or Splatoon Amiibo for special themed villagers with a variety of exclusive items. This update also added connectivity to Happy Home Designer, which unlocks special items, and even that game's house customization mode after unlocking every house upgrade in New Leaf. At the time, New Leaf easily surpassed the rest of the series for me because of the sheer amount of welcome improvements and new features, such as the ability to be the mayor, and the increased amount of customization. There's so much to do in it once you get past the somewhat slow start, and there's even more content with the Welcome Amiibo update. Even with the release of New Horizons, I can still recommend New Leaf as an excellent starting point, especially with its discounted re-release as part of the Nintendo Selects line. It might be several years old now, and it's still too early for me to say if I prefer it or New Horizons, but New Leaf is still a fantastic entry in the series. In any case, thank you for watching, and next time I'll be wrapping up this retrospective with a quick look at a variety of Animal Crossing spin-offs and cameos, including Happy Home Designer and Amiibo Festival.